The evening sun sagged low on the horizon, painting the sleepy suburban street in hues of burnt orange and faded lavender. Emily's hands gripped the steering wheel of her aging sedan so tightly her knuckles whitened. Each rattle and clunk beneath the hood made her flinch. She had been nursing this car for months, pushing it further than she should have, but tonight it was clear the poor thing had reached its breaking point. A sharp cough rattled the engine, the headlights flickered, and the car lurched before rolling to a reluctant stop at the curb. Silence followed, broken only by the faint ticking of metal cooling under the hood. Emily exhaled shakily, resting her forehead on the wheel. "Not now. Please, not tonight," she whispered, her voice carrying both exhaustion and a hint of desperation. In the backseat, her daughter Lily stirred. The little girl hugged her stuffed bunny to her chest, eyes wide and worried. "Mommy, is the car dead?" Emily turned, forcing a smile though her chest ached. She brushed a strand of auburn hair from her damp forehead. "Not dead, sweetie. Just a little tired. Like us after a long day." Lily tilted her head, unconvinced, but Emily opened her door anyway, stepping out into the warm evening air. The neighborhood was quiet, rows of modest houses with neatly kept lawns, kids' bicycles abandoned in driveways, the faint sound of a dog barking somewhere down the block. She popped the hood, and the smell of hot oil and dust rose up like a bitter sigh. Emily peered at the engine, though the jumble of belts and pipes might as well have been hieroglyphs. She had learned to stretch a dollar, to patch holes in clothes, to survive long nights working double shifts at the diner, but fixing a car, that was beyond her. Her throat tightened as she muttered under her breath, "I can't afford this right now." As if on cue, a voice floated from across the street. "Everything all right over there?" Emily jumped, her heart thudding. She turned to see a man walking briskly from a nearby driveway. He wore faded jeans and a gray t-shirt with grease smudges across the chest. A baseball cap shielded his eyes, but his expression was warm, calm, and, strangely, familiar in its kindness. Behind him, a modest single-story house stood with its garage door half open, revealing shelves of tools, spare tires, and the faint smell of motor oil. I'm fine," Emily stammered, brushing her palms against her skirt. "Just car trouble." The man stopped a few feet away, his hands raised in a friendly gesture. "I'm Jake. I work on cars." He chuckled, glancing at his oil-stained hands. "Guess that's obvious. Want me to take a look?" Emily hesitated. A stranger on a quiet street. She should probably refuse. But something in his tone carried no pressure, just an offer. And the truth was, she was stuck. "All right," she said softly, stepping aside. Jake leaned under the hood with practiced ease, his movements sure and confident. Battery's fine. Starter too. Fuel pump's clogged. Not a disaster, but you weren't going to get far." He glanced up at her with a reassuring smile. "Good news is, you don't need a tow. I can fix it. Might take an hour." Relief washed over Emily so hard her knees almost gave out. "Thank you. Really. No problem. Why don't you sit tight with your little one? I'll grab my tools." Jake disappeared into his garage and returned with a battered red toolbox. As he worked, Emily watched quietly, her tension easing bit by bit. He moved with focus, sleeves rolled to his elbows, arms steady and strong. The click of wrenches and soft hums under his breath became strangely soothing. From the backseat, Lily peeked through the window, her bunny pressed to the glass. Jake noticed and gave her a playful wink. Lily giggled before ducking out of sight, her cheeks pink. An hour later, he straightened, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Try it now." Emily slid into the driver's seat, turned the key, and gasped when the engine purred to life, smoother than it had in months. She looked up at Jake, awe in her eyes. You fixed it." Jake shrugged modestly. "Wasn't hard. Just glad I could help." Emily reached for her purse. "How much do I owe you?" His expression softened. "Nothing." She blinked. "What?" "No, I can't let you." "I said nothing." His voice was firm, but kind. "Looks like you've already got enough on your plate. Let this one go." For a moment, Emily couldn't speak. Then, from the backseat, Lily leaned forward, her voice small but clear. "She's my mom, please marry her." Jake froze. Emily's eyes went wide, her cheeks burning crimson. And in the sudden quiet of the street, the little girl's innocent plea hung in the air, impossible to ignore. The quiet street seemed to freeze in place. A dog barked in the distance, cicadas buzzed in the trees, but around the car, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Emily's cheeks flamed as if someone had struck a match to her skin. She whipped her head toward the backseat, wide-eyed. "Lily," she hissed, mortified. The little girl blinked innocently, her arms wrapped around her stuffed bunny. "What? You always say you're lonely, Mommy. And he's nice." Emily groaned, sinking into the driver's seat. She wished the car would swallow her whole. "Kids say the strangest things," she muttered quickly, her voice high-pitched with embarrassment. Jake stood frozen for half a beat, then, unexpectedly, he laughed. Not a mocking laugh, but a warm, deep chuckle that rumbled from his chest. "Well, that's a first," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "I've been called a lot of things, but never a candidate for marriage 5 minutes after fixing a fuel pump." Emily buried her face in her hands. "I am so sorry. She's just imaginative." Jake crouched a little, trying to meet Lily's eyes through the open car window. "You've got quite the sense of humor, kiddo." But Lily wasn't joking. She leaned forward, her expression deadly serious in the way only children could be. "I'm not kidding. Mommy's tired all the time, and she doesn't smile enough. You made her smile. I like you." Emily's breath caught. Her daughter's words were simple, but they struck like an arrow. She had been tired. She hadn't smiled enough. The weight of bills, endless shifts, and loneliness had dulled the spark she once carried. For a 6-year-old to notice, it broke her heart a little. Jake's smile softened. He didn't make a joke this time. Instead, he tilted his head, thoughtful, as if Lily's honesty had touched him too. Finally, he stood and turned to Emily. "She's a smart one." Emily pressed her lips together, unsure if she wanted to laugh or cry. "She's outspoken, that's for sure." Jake wiped his hands with an old rag, then nodded toward her car. "Listen, it's running, but you'll need a proper fuel pump replacement soon. This fix will hold for a while, but not forever." Emily sighed, the reality of expenses tugging her back down. "Of course. Another bill I can't pay." "Hey." His voice was gentle, yet firm enough to make her meet his gaze. "Don't stress tonight. You got where you needed to go, didn't you? That's enough for now." She blinked, surprised by his kindness. Most people shrugged off her struggles or didn't notice them at all. Jake noticed, and that felt dangerous in its own way. Lily suddenly popped open the car door and hopped out, clutching her bunny. She trotted right up to Jake and tugged his sleeve. "If you're not gonna marry my mom, can you at least come over for dinner? Mommy makes spaghetti really good." Emily's jaw dropped. "Lily." She rushed to pull her daughter back, but Jake was laughing again, crouching to Lily's height. "Spaghetti, huh? That does sound tempting," he said, giving Emily a teasing glance. "But I think I should probably let your mom invite me herself, don't you?" Lily tilted her head. "But she won't. She's shy." Emily groaned again, covering her face with both hands. Her daughter was going to be the end of her. Jake stood slowly, his eyes kind, no hint of judgment in them. "Tell you what, how about we make a deal? Next time your car acts up, instead of panicking, you come straight to me. No charge. My garage is right here." He gestured to his house across the street. "And maybe, if I don't burn water when I try to cook, I'll take a rain check on that spaghetti." Emily looked at him, caught between relief, gratitude, and the nervous flutter of something she hadn't felt in years. "Hope. Thank you," she murmured, meaning more than just the car. Jake tipped his cap lightly, giving Lily one last smile. "Take care of your mom, kiddo. She's special." As Emily slid back into the driver's seat, her heart thudded. She started the car again, the engine humming smoothly, but her mind was miles away. Lily's words echoed in her head. "She's my mom, please marry her." For the first time in a long while, Emily wondered if fate had just introduced her to someone who might change everything. The diner was unusually busy for a Tuesday night. The hum of conversations mixed with the hiss of the fryer and the clinking of silverware. Emily wove between tables, balancing a tray of steaming plates, her apron already dotted with stains. Her feet ached, her back throbbed, but she kept moving, smiling at customers and refilling coffee cups as if exhaustion were a language she no longer spoke. "Order up," called Frank, the gruff cook behind the counter, sliding 2 burgers and fries onto the pass. Emily forced her smile wider, grabbed the plates, and hurried to table 7. "Here you go," "Double cheeseburger, extra onions, and a BLT with sweet potato fries," she said cheerfully, though inside she was counting the hours until her shift ended. Lily was at home with Mrs. Jenkins, their elderly neighbor who often helped babysit for a little cash. Emily hated leaving her daughter so often, but tips were the only way to keep food on the table. She had just set down the order when the little bell above the diner door jingled. The sound made her glance up automatically, and her heart skipped. Jake. He stepped inside, a little hesitant, scanning the room. He was in the same work clothes as the night before, grease stains faintly visible, cap tucked into his back pocket. His presence filled the small diner, not loud or demanding, but steady, like an anchor dropping into restless waters. Emily nearly dropped her tray. "Of all the places in town, why here? Seat yourself anywhere," she called automatically, her voice catching slightly. Jake's eyes found hers, and recognition lit them instantly. His mouth curved into a smile, the kind that was both casual and disarming. He slid into a corner booth, and Emily's chest tightened. "Great. Just what I need. The man my daughter proposed to for me yesterday is now sitting in my section." She grabbed her order pad and approached with as much composure as she could muster. "Evening. What can I get you?" "Coffee to start," Jake said easily, "and maybe whatever you'd recommend. You work here, so you must know what's worth eating." Emily's lips twitched despite herself. "Trust me, you don't want to know what's not worth eating." He chuckled, resting his arms on the table. "Then surprise me." She jotted it down, trying not to notice the way his gaze lingered, not in a way that made her uncomfortable, but in a way that made her feel seen. When she returned with his coffee, he accepted it gratefully. "Didn't expect to see you again so soon." "Small town," Emily replied, shrugging. "You fix cars. I sling coffee. Paths cross." He tilted his head, not complaining. Her cheeks warmed, and she quickly busied herself with setting his plate down when it was ready, a meatloaf special with mashed potatoes. He looked at the food with genuine appreciation, like it was more than just a meal. Between refills and clearing tables, Emily found herself glancing at him. And every time she did, she caught him smiling faintly, as though amused by her flustered attempts to avoid conversation. At one point, Jake leaned back in the booth and asked, "How long have you worked here?" "Too long," she admitted, sighing. "But it pays the bills." "Mostly." "Mostly," he repeated, reading between the lines. "And Lily. She stays with a sitter while you're here." The mention of her daughter softened Emily's face. "Yeah, she's a good kid. Smart. Sometimes too smart." Jake chuckled. "I noticed." Their eyes met for a beat too long, and Emily looked away quickly, her pulse skittering. When Jake finally paid, he slid a generous tip under the check. She picked it up, frowning. "This is too much." "It's not charity," he said simply. "It's thanks, for good food, good company." Emily didn't know what to say. Gratitude swelled in her chest, but so did the fear of letting anyone too close. As he stood to leave, Jake tipped his head toward her. "See you around, Emily." Her name in his voice felt like sunlight through a window. And though she told herself not to, she found herself hoping, really hoping, that she would. The weekend arrived with a crisp, golden morning. Emily had planned a simple errand day, groceries, laundry, maybe a stop at the park if she had enough energy left. But fate had other ideas. Her car, though running since Jake's fix, made a strange sputtering noise when she tried to start it. Emily's heart sank. She didn't have the money for a shop repair, not after rent and utilities had swallowed her paycheck. "Mommy, is it sick again?" Lily asked, peeking through the back window with her bunny in hand. Emily sighed. "Yeah, sweet pea. Looks like it." She rubbed her temples. "Guess we'll have to walk to the store today." But just as she was about to close the hood, a familiar voice drifted across the street. Having déjà vu, Emily turned to see Jake, leaning casually against his mailbox, coffee mug in hand. He wore a plain navy t-shirt, but somehow he looked like he belonged in every sunrise. She laughed weakly. "Don't tell me it's the fuel pump again." "Probably not. Mind if I take a look?" Before she could answer, Lily squealed and dashed toward him, bunny bouncing in her arms. "Jake!" she cried, as if greeting an old friend. She skidded to a stop in front of him, her face glowing with excitement. "Mommy's car is sick again. Can you make it better?" Jake crouched to her level, his smile wide. "I'll sure try, kiddo." But only if you promise to be my assistant today. Lily gasped as though he'd just offered her the moon. Really? I can help. Of course. He tapped the brim of her stuffed bunny. You bring the brains, I'll bring the tools. Emily watched the exchange, her heart doing a strange little twist. She had never seen Lily warm up to someone so quickly, outside of Mrs. Jenkins. Her daughter usually clung shyly to her side. But with Jake, she was fearless, glowing, alive. Jake lifted the hood, setting his coffee mug on the curb, and motioned for Lily to come closer. All right, Assistant Bunny, this is the engine. It's kind of like the car's heart. Wanna listen? He handed her a small stethoscope-looking tool from his box, guiding her gently on where to place it. Lily giggled as the humming vibration tickled her hands. It's noisy, she declared. That means it's working hard, Jake said. But sometimes, even hearts need a little extra care. Emily leaned against the car door, arms folded, fighting a smile. She hadn't seen Lily this animated in weeks. Watching Jake kneel in the driveway, patiently explaining every step as if her daughter were his equal, made something warm bloom inside her chest, something she hadn't let herself feel in a very long time. After a while, Jake tightened a few connections, swapped out a worn hose, and shut the hood. All right, moment of truth. Ready, Emily? She nodded and slipped into the driver's seat, turning the key. The engine roared to life, smooth, strong, steady. Lily jumped up and down, clapping. You did it, Jake. You fixed Mommy's car again. Jake chuckled, brushing grease from his hands. Couldn't have done it without my assistant. Emily stepped out, shaking her head in wonder. I don't know how you do it. Seriously, I'd be stranded without you. Jake shrugged, though there was a softness in his eyes. That's what neighbors are for. Before Emily could reply, Lily tugged Jake's hand. Come to the park with us. Please, you can push me on the swings. Emily's eyes widened. Lily, don't, he probably has things to do. But Jake cut in, smiling down at the little girl. Actually, I've got some time. And it's been years since I've been to the park. He glanced at Emily, almost shyly. That is, if you don't mind. Her instinct was to guard her heart, to keep walls high. But the look on Lily's face, the pure joy, the hopeful sparkle, made her hesitate. And maybe, just maybe, she wanted this too. All right, Emily said quietly. The park it is. As they walked down the street together, Lily skipping happily between them, Emily couldn't ignore the strange feeling settling over her. For the first time in years, their little family didn't feel quite so incomplete.